Please let me in. Are you my mommy?
After discovering the secondary control room in the TARDIS, the Fourth Doctor and Sarah are pulled into the Mandragora Helix. They exit the TARDIS to find themselves inside the Helix. They quickly dive behind the TARDIS as the Helix energy attacks them. They quickly leave in the TARDIS, but don't realise that energy has entered the TARDIS with them. The TARDIS then lands by itself in the 15th century in San Martino, where the Helix escapes and starts causing chaos. Can the Doctor stop the Mandragora Helix after it takes control of the Brethren of Demnos? Or will the Helix take over the Earth? Let's discuss the Masque of Mandragora, which aired from the 4th to the 25th of September 1976 and was written by Lewis Marks and directed by Rodney Bennett. Hello and welcome to this Eyes of Harmony podcast review of The Masque of Mandragora, written by Lewis Marks. So, this was a surprising one. I'd always overlooked this before.
I think most people do, to be honest.
Most people do. I think it's because it's right in between Seeds of Doom and then The Hand of Fear, which Hand of Fear is an okay story, but it's because Sarah Jane Leaves in it. It's a much considered bigger story.
And The Seeds of Doom is pretty amazing, one of the most memorable. In comparison, because this one's in some ways on kind of a smaller scale.
I think if this had been a season finale, it could have been pretty big, but what a way to kick off a series, you know?
Yeah.
This was top-notch stuff, this was, and usually overlooked incredibly. This one was really, really good.
Yeah, basically, nobody talks about this, so, it's...
So it'll be interesting to talk about, because I never really talked about this one before with anyone, because it's just kind of, it's like one of those stories that which just, there's like Doctor Who stories which you can't talk about because they're so bad, or you talk about because they're really good. But you sometimes get the stories which, are kind of very, very good, but still aren't like the considered classics. Because there's, I think the one problem is this one just doesn't stand out for just a few reasons, but that's about it. So it kind of starts in like in a TARDIS scene, which is kind of way that most stories start out, really. But
I get in some ways though, they're kind of walking more into the TARDIS, which is something I think at this point in time isn't done so often.
No, it was very.
I know.
The next time they did it loads was the Invasion of Time. With
which was just like walls, just brick walls in the TARDIS for some reason.
And they just went to a factory or something. It was pretty disappointing.
But
there was a
pretty low budget, very.
Sontaran trips over the sunbed or whatever. But anyway, so they find this second control room.
Yeah, this is kind of weird because I think I didn't entirely get this, because I think they were kind of trying to imply that this was the old one which they were using in the old classic series.
Yeah, see, it's weird.
But it's kind of very much not like it.
Yeah, we know that it's not though. So it's because
considering
the recorder. It's the recorder which really kind of makes you go, but they didn't use this one.
And John Pertwee's costume, just because the thing is that you can perhaps suspend your disbelief to imagine, it was in black and white. This all could have been wooden for all we know, But you show John Pertwee's costume, it's like, well, we saw that in colour. We know clearly that was not wood.
Maybe in a different story, John Pertwee tried to escape from Earth using the secondary control room.
And just casually left his shirt there.
Well, yeah, just stripped naked, stroll back out.
I don't remember that adventure.
It was a comic book. But, no. Well, maybe. I don't know.
It was kind of... I don't get why they needed to go do the secondary control room, though. It was kind of a weird thing that they just did for a while.
I think the original one either... No, that was the exterior, never mind. Yeah, I don't know. I think they just wanted to try something different, which that they did. And I mean, this one literally only lasts this season, then it disappears. I think its last appearance is in Robots and Death.
Yeah, I believe so.
So only 5 stories.
Yeah.
And then, there's kind of a controversy. Well, not controversy, but it's not clear on what happened either. One account is that Graham Williams wasn't fond of a wooden set. He preferred the spacey looking ones, and that's what they returned to. Or it was that it got damp and warped in storage between seasons, so they couldn't use it anyway.
No, 2 would kind of make sense.
Yeah, it would.
Who knows?
But yeah, so then it kicks off, and you see the Mandragora Helix, which looks really nice actually on screen. It's very cool.
Yeah, for what it's worth, like
nice
the effect is quite nice. Like they didn't do too much like flashy effects or anything in this story, but actually that kind of opening bit looks quite nice, especially when they land. Like actually the color overlay effect they do here looks actually really convincing.
Yeah, it's
compared
very nice.
especially compared to other stories from around the time. Actually,
it was pretty.
They kind of
top-notch.
blended that quite nicely.
Yeah, but just like one thing about the wooden control room, just saying is, why no tower middle bit? There's like a shaving mirror. It just looks a bit rubbish.
Yeah,
It looks really like kind of like without the tower bit in the middle. It's just boring. I mean, I think that. Yeah, I don't know. I like the TARDIS having a middle bit.
Yeah.
The up and downy bit. I don't mind if it doesn't reach the ceiling. I'd be interested if they went back to that. Yeah. I know.
No, I wasn't fond of it, but it was a thing.
It was a
I
thing
guess.
that happened.
I guess it was a thing.
Yeah, so so then they land in the Mandragora Helix. And then they dive behind the TARDIS instead of going inside it.
Yeah, I mean, like, away from this weird, like, energy,
This
like...
energy.
Like, but,
it looked decent enough.
It looked okay. I mean, sometimes it did kind of stick out, the fact that it was just kind of a light thing being placed in front of things. But, like, won't harp on that too much. Yeah, it's
Later on, they
generally
did a
okay.
really good thing with it. Later on, but I'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
So kind of, so then they leave and then they land. And the cool thing is when they change...
I'm sorry.
They changed the location, but if you have something to say before...
No, I was just going to say that before that they kind of do kind of a while where they're doing the backstory of the other characters. The Doctors land to a bit later.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause it
Well, no, it
takes them a
doesn't
while.
it cut where the... before they land, it cuts to where some peasants are being attacked. It was a great
that
cut.
was so-
It cuts to there first, then it goes, the characters, and then they land. But it was a really good moment that when it went and showed, like, the past, that, it threw us straight into action, it showed, like, oh, okay, stuff's happening elsewhere.
immediately.
Which
Like,
was pretty
things
cool.
happen.
And it was a great cut, because I was thinking, okay, here we go to the slow dialogue bit, explaining where we are, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, fire, pillaging, killing peasants.
Yeah.
Because it was his
kind of
sport.
intense.
And so then we meet Count Federico and his men, led by Captain Rossini.
And I have to say, right off the bat, the acting quality in the story as a whole is
Pretty
excellent.
high. Yeah,
Like, you could tell, like, a lot of these people probably did do, like, worked on, like, Shakespeare and various kinds, which is kind of the kind of style which this episode kind of goes for. I mean, it's more modern language, but as a whole, it kind of invokes that feeling in a lot of ways, and they picked, like, the perfect kind of actors to do that.
I think Hieronymus, he definitely did Shakespeare for sure.
Oh,
for sure. He was incredible.
He was great.
The horoscope predictor personage. I can't remember what they called him. Soothsayer or something along those lines.
Astrologer, wasn't it?
Astrologer, that's it. That's the one where you read the stars.
Yeah.
But so it's like he, foretold the Duke's death. But Giulio is silenced, doesn't believe a superstition, and Giuliano, so refreshing as a side character. He's not gullible all the way. He doesn't need the Doctor to convince him to believe, what the Doctor's saying. He just believes the Doctor straight away.
But of course, he is a bit skeptical,
which is lovely. Oh yeah, but I mean, it's like on a different kind of level.
Yeah.
It's very, very slight, rather than like in lots of classics, like especially the William Hartnell era. Nobody believed William Hartnell. And he
did a lot of
one, and then that person then convinced their mate, and you can see it so many times.
Well, in that one, there's a lot more historical. Like, I mean, this one, of course, this one's more historical, but I mean, like, they go to places where there's a lot less, like, focus on like side. They go over here to kind of Renaissance Italy, which, you know, is very much a time period where, like, other varying ideas would be more kind of looked upon favourably, I guess. Which is actually a very interesting time period that they go to, especially considering, you know, usually when they go back in time,
they go to a big event.
They go to a big event. This is like nothing in the grand scheme of things, other than, I guess, like a lot of the important people of Italy being present later on in the story. But, you know, it's like they use the historical context to kind of basically just create a story around it, as opposed to explain like a big event, basically.
Yeah, and it was really nice. Just to go back to it, it was like kind of a crimson horror. Like it didn't need to be set in your, you know, like there was nothing big historical event which happened then, which was nice. And I prefer that much more to the dinosaur, and because everybody would have remembered that. That would have, you know, everybody would have heard about that story. Nobody forgets that. Oh yeah.
Well, they
apparently did.
Yeah, I guess so. It was everybody was just hidden in the black archives.
Yeah.
They just had several skeletons of people who saw the dinosaur just lying there. It's too much for them to handle.
So dark. Yes, we couldn't let these people out because they saw the dinosaur.
Yeah,
they died here. Actually, they could just wipe their memory. Just done the Men in Black way.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So one thing is, like, the location work is so lovely. It looks so nice, and even the sets
really
are lovely. It's everything.
It's not actually in Italy though, is it?
No, it's in Wales where they filmed The Prisoner, that famous series. There was a little village there where they filmed The Prisoner, and that's where they filmed here.
But it really did they did evoke the feeling of.
Oh, it really did feel like Italy. I mean, I didn't question it at any point, going, "Oh, that's just England." Like, you feel like they might have gone abroad to film this. I think you could trick people if you asked.
Yeah,
to go abroad
like the oranges on the trees, and the way that the outside scenes are kind of
sunny. It looks kind of good weather and everything.
Yeah, very very rare for here.
It's rare for Wales.
Even right now.
Yeah, it's raining out right now as we do this podcast. But so Sarah kind of gets. Well, no, she kind of gets followed by the hooded men, and then.
Well, yeah, no, she goes off. No, she wanders off to eat oranges.
Yeah, and then, you see a hooded man, but you don't actually see her get knocked out, which I think is quite good, because you hear the doctor go, "Sarah," in his fourth Doctor way, and then you see her just like knocked out, which is really good. And then he goes full hero mode, and he's really quite a badass in the story. Fourth Doctor. I mean, he steals horses, he flips people, he uses his scarf.
Sword fighting.
As a lasso, sword fighting. So he's pretty badass in this one, to be honest.
He is, definitely.
But yeah, so he then gets knocked out by a rock, which I'm pretty sure might have killed him, to be honest. I think he could have regenerated right there.
I mean, not necessarily, I guess. But
and then,
depends on where it hit him and how hard.
But then he awakes and he witnesses the helix energy fragment fly towards, and then this is the really cool bit. Well, it like hits the water, and they made a water explosion as it moves towards the peasant, and like it's like the stream of water's moving with the light, and that was a really cool moment. That's when
really nice touch
believe it. Yeah, that's when it's like, damn, that they tried really hard here, and you kind of appreciate it.
You don't get that a lot in like stories of this era.
No,
it's quite nice to see, actually.
Yeah,
and, like the effect on the guy as he gets like hit by the thing is like, it's kind of melted blue and such. Looks really effective as well.
It looked good as well. Yeah, it was a really solid first episode, because then he gets he then meets the people, and they're like, "Oh, can I see your documents?" And then he like basically pushes the guy off his horse.
Yeah,
and, like, it's a horse chase. I was like, "Holy crap! Everything's happening here." This is only episode 1. I was like, "Jeez," it was a pretty awesome episode 1. Like, that's what every episode 1 of a season should be like.
Just jumps right in.
Just like, we haven't been gone. This is, it's just continuous. That's the thing. Sometimes I think between seasons nowadays, they try and make it act like too much time has passed between the two. Where I quite like it where it's like, boom, hitting, right back to the next. Or they don't even make a point to, like, how much time passed between The Runaway Bride and Smith and Jones. They never really specify.
No, they'd imagine it wasn't that long.
Not that long, but you don't know. I mean, the Doctor's in kind of mourning over Rose. Mourning can last a long time. So, you know, it's kind of... I like when they didn't, like, point at it and go, hey, this much time has passed. Like, between Series 5 and Series 6... Well, okay, kind of Series 6 and Series 6. Because they meet him when he's only, like, 905 or whatever. And at the end, he's 1,000 and something. It's like, you feel like you missed a lot of, like, the Doctor's adventures.
Yep.
It feels a bit kind of sad that you have, really.
Yep.
It's like, oh, okay, we just missed 1,000 years of adventures.
No biggie.
Yeah, like, no biggie. Like, he didn't do anything awesome during that time.
No, he sort of grew beards and such.
Well, no, that was later on.
That was later on,
But yeah, so yeah, then he gets caught, the Doctor. He kind of gets shoved off a horse and then just kind of...
Yeah, he just kind of gets dives onto.
And just kind of like, I don't know, possums it and pretends he's dead. It's like, because I'm sorry, that would knock you out. And if it does, like that's one bad thing. The Doctor does get knocked out twice in one episode just to try and like forward the plot a bit. And it's like, okay. I think the Doctor would have serious concussion if he got knocked out twice in such a short amount of time. Well, this Doctor is a really weak fainting.
Yeah.
Just faints. Oh, someone touched me.
Oh no! And then he's like taken before the
Frederico.
uncle, yeah, and like this is one bit I questioned. Is like, and this happens a few times throughout the series. It's just the Doctor kind of jumps immediately to basically saying the truth, but like, what's that going to achieve?
Yeah.
Why? That's that's not going to go down well in the era you're at. Like, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
That is really true.
Like, that... It frustrates me.
I'm a spaceman from outer space. Please believe me, it's the truth.
It frustrates me every time that happens, because it's just like, why? Why? Why is this necessary?
The times it works is when, like Cold War, where, like, when the 11th Doctor's like, okay, no clever lies, I'm just going to say the truth. Me and her, time travellers, you know. And that's where, like, it makes sense. Like, to do it then, like, when you can't just lie and bullshit about, you know, like, yeah. That really does annoy me when, like, yeah, they do that.
Yeah. It's a bit silly here, especially.
Just a bit.
I guess one complaint which you could have with this episode as a whole is just that at points it's a bit slow, like it is.
I'd say it's only slow when it's with Frederico and...
I mean, it's more the case in like 2 and 3, I
2 and
guess.
3 slow down a bit. After this amazing episode, also, the one thing is the Doctor, Executioner, and Decapitation is like the most common. You know, I was thinking of one day going through and find the most common cliffhanger. I just watch every episode and see what the most common cliffhanger is.
Take a while.
Like the Doctor cornered.
Well, actually, there's probably like you could just look it up online.
Kind of want to do it myself. I was also thinking of going through and counting every time they say the word Doctor, not just the Doctor Who, but like just Doctor, and see how many times they just say the word Doctor.
You'd go mad by the time you finish.
Well, it would be a very slow process. You could count how many times per story you could, like, right, okay, it was 10 in that one, then so on. But yeah, it would take a long time.
Yeah, it definitely.
Especially regeneration stories where it's like, Doctor.
Yeah, like the 5th Doctor's one.
Doctor. Don't die, Doctor. Die, Doctor, die. Oh my god. Ah! That'll be what I do when I'm retired and have nothing better to do. Then we can make a podcast. Unless you fund me at my GoFund page.
Subscribe to our Patreon, guys.
Subscribe to our Patreon, and I will go through and count how many times they say the word.
Meanwhile, we should check out Crunchyroll because Crunchy's rolls.
And don't forget those loot crates.
Yeah,
the Eyes of Harmony loot crate.
Here's a plastic crown. You'll be happy.
Yeah. What else can we give which would be Eyes of Harmony related? Disappointment.
A picture of me.
Disappointment and a picture of Comrade. I think both come in one.
Yeah, both got the same.
Also Sarah gets brought before a priest and, like, she's going to be a sacrifice because, you know, women and sacrifices.
Yeah, actually, this is one thing, like, you know, it's kind of Sarah's arc in this is kind of very similar to Brain of Morbius.
It's pretty weak. I mean, Sarah literally does nothing in this story.
Really.
The only thing which defines that and makes me okay with that is because while Sarah is doing nothing, she's so bloody enjoyable while she does nothing. I love her when she's just so great.
Yeah. No, this isn't. I wouldn't say this was necessarily the strongest story.
Best, but
I think a lot of the focus here is more on the Doctor and the side characters.
Yeah, but just Elizabeth Sladen in general, she's just amazing. She's just so good.
Yeah.
Just like you just.
There is a really good moment later, which we'll get into.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely.
So we hit episode 2, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, I want to look my best," and then he does a full-on Indiana Jones whip with his scarf, which I'm not sure would.
That is a pretty cool escape, though.
It's pretty cool, but didn't exactly look a bit real because when you look at the leg, it's kind of knotted round it. I'm like, how did you knot it while just in one swing? You must have proper like. Have you ever tried to whip like wool? It doesn't work. It's not got no tension in it.
Maybe the Doctor's does. You don't know what material it's made out of.
Well, you got a replica which is made out of wool.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the real one isn't made out of wool. It's made of some space wool.
Space wool, made by space sheep, which are the size of Slovene, but they don't fart a lot. They burp. They burp. Instead of barring, they burp. Can you just imagine a group of them like burping?
Oh god,
that would be awful. Visit the planet of the sheep
from Space Wales.
Yes, Space Wales. There we go. Jodie Whittaker's first story. We got it down. Space
Planet of the Welsh.
Planet of the Welsh. I don't know how much dirtier we can get with this storyline.
Yeah.
The farmers enslaving the burping sheep. Good old Welshman. Anyway, so episode 2, the Doctor escapes pretty awesomely.
Yeah, and the chase is genuinely pretty good. I'd say
it's a classic era, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I would like it to be a little more intense, perhaps. And I think the Doctor kind of
didn't span 6 episodes. For a story just about chasing, aka the chase.
Well, that's true, but they kind of. I mean,
I was.
It depends on the context.
Chase is pretty okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I mean, it's interesting because they've kind of done the all kind of the not really the Gothic group, the Brethren kind of. People hating demons and stuff before in the Daemons. And that was done quite well. Yeah. I mean, that one camera angle where, like, the Master's doing the rock and roll side, and it's, like, so awesome, that scene. But I'm trying to, like, think which one did it better. Which one did, like, the group hailing Satan? Because, I mean, they did it later on, I think, in Stones of Blood as well.
But there's only one way to find out!
A rock versus the Mandragora Helix versus the Daemon. That would be a pretty awesome fight, actually.
That would actually, that'd
be pretty interesting.
That'd be pretty cool.
Who would win? Comment below who would win that one. The Daemon, the Rock, or the Helix. It's like the new rock paper scissors. For which beats which, you decide. Comment below. Comment below. We'll see.
But I don't think we'll get a truly definitive answer.
Probably not. So yeah. Oh no, I love it. Like she's about to be sacrificed because the Doctor luckily runs into the catacombs. Just so happen where Sarah happens to be. It's kind of a bit like a winky dink.
Well, I mean, it's a like a pretty big area of thing. There's like several entrances to that. Which is kind of flawed considering they're kind of this weird underground movement, like to have multiple entrances and such.
Yeah.
We would have thought they would have blocked some of those off just to keep their kind of secret safe.
Have a secret passageway.
No.
But, I love it when like she's about to get stabbed and the Doctor like kind of just slowly drags her off for like the table. And it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just ran away.
And then, like, just as that happens, the Mandragora Helix is like, whoa! appears in the chamber, and then it's like the cool red glow. But I think they should have faded it a bit more at the edges. Like it really fit well, but then it just kind of at the edges, it just
quite bright. I think it'd be a bit more difficult in those days then to kind of.
It's called Photoshop. Look it up. Look it up, 1976. Look it up. God, you put no effort in.
Well behind the times.
You're so behind the times. I can't believe you've done this. But yeah.
Yeah. And I say both the villains we have here are really, like, great. Like,
yeah.
In episode
what I loved was Hieronymus wasn't in power over Federico yet.
No.
Like, I like that. It was like he still, in Federico's eyes, was beneath him.
Kind of an
so there was this
underling.
weird power game.
Yeah, and then when he
starts,
when he starts like to gain more confidence, it's like
you slowly see it.
Yeah,
they're overpowering. And
and again, both the actors like great. Like Federico is really kind of like chilling throughout a lot of the episode as well. I'd say.
Yeah,
like pretty ruthless and effective and.
Yeah, and like he just wants to kill his nephew, which is a bit mean, really.
Yeah, but I mean, actually,
it's a bit Game of Thrones.
Well, kind of carrying into Shakespeare, a lot of people compare the story in a lot of ways to Hamlet, which I can very much see.
It's probably why it did take
Only it's not in Denmark, and
it's in Wales, Italy.
The Hamlet of this story doesn't die. Sorry, spoilers.
He could have died a moment later after the Doctor leaves. A rock falls on his head in a twist of fate, or he chokes.
Or one of the Demnos followers just kind of sits up and goes, "Nah."
No, he chokes on salami. The Doctor offers him a bit of his salami, and he chokes on it. But that's
very different story.
That happened after the credits. Like Sarah went, "Oh, he looks sad," and the Doctor was like, "I'll give him some of my salami." But yes.
Oh my.
But yeah, so yeah, like Federico demands Hieronymus makes up a new like horoscope so he can poison basically Giuliano for the next evening, and he's like, "Nah, son,
nah, mate."
You what, mate? I got superpowers now. You what?
Dude, it doesn't
you
reveal
having
that.
a giggle? Well, yeah, to himself he's thinking that. But yeah,
there's quite a lot of like kind of interesting twists because like Hieronymus. I think that's it. I'm not very good at pronunciation. Hieronymus. He's kind of revealed. Yeah, like you don't really think about it at the time, but you know.
It annoys me.
Yeah, with the white.
It's like
white
you couldn't fit that under the mask. Like,
well, he had to because like he took off the mask,
covering his mouth in the mask. He was trying to fit it underneath it. The mask is really good though. I do like it.
Yeah,
and
it's
the purple
quite
robe is very cool. Yeah. Very cool. But yeah,
it is.
Like the Doctor's like, he's coming. This is the transition between the Dark Ages and the dawn of Renaissance, and that's why the Helix came there. And he wants to, take control of Earth and with a new religion. And they got to destroy the temple. And so we kind of learned what to do in episode 2. But the problem is we learned it in episode 2 what they want, and that's when I think that episode 3 takes damage from that, along with the end of kind of episode.
Yeah, I mean, again, episode 2. Episode 2 is a lot of talking.
Didn't they have gunpowder back in those days? Couldn't they have just throwing a load of gunpowder into the temple and just been like pew 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 pew?
I mean, I think Federico.
Just get Mickey.
Federico had control.
Call up Mickey and get him to fire a missile. Buffalo. Buffalo's the password. Twice. Because that's a really good system. Let's have Buffalo with no digits or numbers in it for the same password every single time.
Yeah,
we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the gunpowder was held by Federico, probably because a lot of the soldiers were loyal to him, basically.
For some odd reason.
Well, I guess because he's older and he perhaps got more trusted.
They love that mature look in there. The cliffhanger to episode 2 is definitely the best one though. Cliffhanger of the week goes to episode 2 where the Doctor enters the chamber and he starts being attacked physically, mentally, physically kind of thing. I know.
Well, actually, no. Episode 2. No.
Yeah.
Episode 2 was the one. No, wasn't that the one at the end where like Sarah's about to be caught again?
Yeah. They get cornered with the swords, but then also the Doctor's like being physically attacked. They kind of leave it on both. I mean, they can't show both at the same time unless they did a weird split screen.
Well,
thing.
I think it would have been better though if they just kind of left it on the Doctor as opposed to Sarah being caught again, because that one was like. I think it's like the weaker one, so it's probably not mine.
They should have done. It should have been
probably
like
mine
the
is
sword
episode
guy
3.
should have. She should have got caught. Then she gets caught. Then it's the sword guy, and then it's. But I think it's because the most had built up over the time.
My personal favourite for this one is probably episode 3, to be honest.
All wrong.
Well, not really. No, I think you're wrong. Because this one didn't have the full impact as it should have done.
That's fair. I can give you that. Yeah. But yeah, so the attack stops for some reason, but the Doctor like. Can't...
Oh yeah, actually, one thing. Sorry, before this, I'm sorry to cut in. But
no, excuse
before,
me.
like I mentioned about the slow thing, but one thing I felt was kind of unnecessary is that like to get to the ruins area, they showed the entire walking from like the top of the hill all the way down, and that was like, why are you showing us this? You're gonna cut.
Padding. Gotta pad that episode out. Gotta get it to however many minutes it was. I can find out in a moment, but yeah. So yeah, then they have a sword fight, which is okay.
Yeah, it's actually pretty well choreographed, I'd say.
Some bits are good, some bits are not. I mean, the Doctor jumps at one point when a sword is supposed to go under him, but it didn't even go anywhere near his feet. But
yeah, that's true. But generally, like, it was kind of a fun. How does the Prince hold off 3 people at once?
Because he is Zorro of the 15th century. And he makes a G, he's like... He cuts a G into their skin. But the only one who gets cut this time is him. It's like, just kill him. Just get rid of him. But I mean, the Doctor's quite violent in this one. I mean, he was carrying a sword before he even left.
Yeah, no, he's carrying a sword for quite a significant chunk of the episode.
Why are you carrying weapons? I think you'll find that is against your moral code.
I mean, he doesn't kill anyone.
Yeah, funny enough, that second episode was 24 minutes 44. The only one that's longer than it is part 5. So yeah, they padded it out for like an extra 30 seconds.
This wasn't really needed.
So it would have been the shortest episode, but it became the second longest by 1 second.
We've got to extend those seconds, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so they sword fight out of it. It's like, and then they just kind of retreat for some reason. Oh no, the Brethren come out.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's not attacking them, but don't attack the Doctor or anyone.
Well, you know.
It's funny, one actually like runs and jumps and does this weird sideways hop thing while holding like their things. It's really funny when you go watch it. It's very, 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 very enjoyable.
Well, I imagine that's just generally like Federico kind of... Like, what's the bigger threat? 2 guys or like a part of an army?
The Brethren! Run! They're hooded! Can't see them. Oh, it's those,
their hoodies.
It's those teenagers with their hoodies. They're going to steal my confectionery from my shop. Get out
like
of
graffitis
here.
And
You're
stuff.
one at a time. One school child at a time, please. Don't come in here. God, there's youth. They scare me. We're all there, praying to the Lord of demons.
One thing is that, like, they're fighting outside and then they run into the temple. But in that time, Sarah moves to the city, basically, and she starts getting, like, hypnotised in the city. Like, kind of... I know there's a back entrance, but that's very quick, considering it seems like not that long has passed.
Yeah.
Between Sarah getting captured and her being suddenly in the city getting, like, hypnotised.
Yeah. Then,
but that is a cool scene, though. Like,
yeah, I do like the hypnotising scene, yeah. It looks very nice.
And, like, just generally, like, Sarah kind of... he tends to kill the Doctors, kind of, like, throughout this episode. It's kind of, like...
I think the Doctor realises it a bit quickly, though. It's kind of suddenly. It's like, they're in the catacombs, they find Sarah, you can't remember...
Well, no, he doesn't mention the fact that he's figured it out, but, like,
but he has done, though.
It is, yes. Well, because it makes sense, though, the way he says it is kind of like Sarah wouldn't ask, like, now about, like, languages and such, which makes sense.
Oh, I loved it when she asked about understanding the Latin. She was like, how come I understand you? And he's like, I'll explain later. You know, it's a Time Lord gift or something. Like, I think he says that enough story, but I liked it. Well done, Lewis Marks, for pointing out the flaws.
It is this story that he says Time Lord's gift.
Oh, he says it in this one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it is in this one.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, this one, thank you, Lewis Marks, for pointing out the flaws. Like, he did it. He said it. Everybody was thinking it.
Before it was kind of canonised that it was the TARDIS doing it.
Yeah, that was all the way in the end of the world, though. He never brought it up again. It's kind of crazy. Kind of cuckoo. Yeah, boy. But yeah, so then she attacks, and Hieronymus attacks. Like, kind of, it's like both ways. Like, she goes for the stab, Hieronymus goes for the stab, and they get caught, and then they're prisoners. And this is it's from here. It's kind of the second half of this episode. Really, is quite slow though.
Yeah,
like, not a lot happens. It's very talky.
It is. I mean, it's really good. Like,
it's good dialogue, but the problem is they have so much action.
As someone who kind of enjoys like kind of his period dramas from time to time, like such as like various historical like stuff, you know, it does generally keep me engaged and such. But I imagine for others it may not quite as much, which is kind of the like. So I looked up general reception of the story, and like it is kind of mixed, which I can understand. If you don't like this kind of like type of story, then you're not going to enjoy it. But if you kind of appreciate it more, and of course you're going to appreciate it more. But you know, I also heard like a lot of like, especially like from a scientific standpoint, people are like, well, this is like wrong scientifically, and like
great. It's a science fiction show.
Yeah. But, you know.
Just saying, it's a science fiction show. The word fiction. Look it up in a dictionary. Fiction.
But it's also
Hope
science.
you're getting this down. And science. Look up science, and then look up fiction, put them together, see what you get. Some science fiction.
Movie.
Yeah. But yeah, so then it's kind of,
I generally say sorry.
No, carry on.
I just generally say like the atmosphere in the story is pretty
Oh
good.
no, atmosphere is solid throughout, yeah. I think it helps when you have good sets as well.
Yeah.
And really good directing. Really good directing. Some really nice shots, especially when they're outside, they use some wider shots, which is nice. It makes the world feel a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger.
Yeah, and the treatment of what's his face? The friend.
Oh, like Marco? I don't know. I can't remember his name now. It began with M. Pretty sure. Marcos.
Yes.
Marcos, I think it was.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it doesn't do too much other than being a general advisor, but like, you know.
Yeah, no.
Like being attacked and then being tortured.
It was Marco.
Being attacked and the whole torture scene, like with the uncles.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great scene as well.
It was good,
like,
yeah, no, it was, and it showed loyalty. It's my man.
Though he had to betray in the end. He did say in the end.
Oh yeah, I mean, like he did a thing.
Yes, there's a perfect description of it.
So yeah.
No, actually, though later in part 4, like he's kind of becomes kind of a very kind of overbearing advisor. Kind of like, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
Back to where we were. So then Frederico's like, you're followers of Demos, and they're like, no, and he's like, dog sir, you can come with me. Like, why not take Giuliano so you could just murder him right there and then?
Well, you know, they're planning to kill him anyway, but like...
That would have been a perfect moment.
You know, perhaps if they needed help against Demnos, it's probably not best to kind of upset the people who've kind of respect the Duke and such, because he still has like his own kind of smaller army and such, so... If worse comes to worse, you might need more people to fight against Demnos. Yeah, it's like, I think it's a little convenient that he kind of listen to the Doctor's word, but at the same time, you know, you can tell throughout the story that he's become more and more suspicious of pronunciation's not like strong. Him. pronounce things, Nick.
Hieronymus.
Hieronymus, that's it.
Funny enough, you were the first one to pronounce it right at the start of a video.
Well, yeah, I think I kind of had it at the back of my head, kind of saying, "Don't say it wrong." Hieronymus, yeah, because like actually, and then you mentioned the power struggle a bit earlier, but like that's really like some of the cool scenes, like with the uncle just kind of like and you see Hieronymus kind of getting above his head like very quickly, and like you just like you'll stand up and such. And, yeah, it's
very cool.
It is
top K. So then Frederico dies, which was something which they saw in the stars. So that was quite funny. Like the irony of all those fake ones, then suddenly the right one.
Yeah.
You got the electric from the hand looked pretty good actually when they killed people. When
they did.
Pew, pew, pew.
I mean, you can tell it's kind of drawn on, like they do.
Yeah, but to be honest, even nowadays, it's like, well, that's drawn on. Like whoever fires.
No, but they literally drew it on the tape. That was what they did.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
But it was good. And it, like they kill him pretty brutally. Like
you just falls to the ground. Just splat, but a lot better than Time Lash. But we'll get to that. Yeah. So episode 4.
Yeah.
Getting to the end.
So like
my biggest problem with this part is they build up like the Mandragora helix to be just everything's gonna die. We gotta stop this. Such a great threat, and they kind of stop it really easily.
Well, I mean, it actually does take quite a bit of planning on the Doctor's part.
It takes planning, but like that's not kind of epic on the grand scales of let me just look at another one. Like the Daemons was pretty dramatic. The Mind of Evil got pretty dramatic.
It's true, but at the same time, it was
Robot was a pretty epic, like, and like big and like it's got like when especially with such an opening episode like
that. It wasn't in some ways it wasn't quite as big, but at the same time, like
it had the threat level.
It did. It kind of built up quite nicely. So they decided to go on with this whole mask.
The mask.
And
which I quite like that scene actually. It was very nice.
Yeah.
Especially the hall looked very nice and the dancing and everything.
Yeah. And like most people there are like kind of brutally like murdered there.
Yeah, I love that scene actually. I love that scene where they're all coming in their costumes. Like, it reminded me of something from a movie. I can't remember what movie it is now, but it's kind of basically exactly the same thing. And they all come in like that. I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking Batman, but it's probably not. This is probably one of a bad Batman films.
I don't remember, but great scene, like really brutal. Frankly, one of the people that he didn't decide to kill was Leonardo da Vinci. Otherwise, that would have messed with everything.
That would have been pretty bad.
He took some people out.
It took 2.
They never really addressed the ramifications of this. Like lots of important people from around Italy just got murdered. Like,
well, I guess there are 2 which weren't needed because we're still okay today.
I guess, but like it's like
I know. But yeah, so the Doctor needs like a breastplate and wire.
Yeah. No, they tend like actually before this, like because the Doctor kind of locks himself away, like with Sarah for a little bit.
Yeah, and he's trying to
kind of looking at the stars. Well, he decides like
he needs to think.
Well, the Duke's just like he asks him for advice on like whether or not to hold on the mask, and like it's like immediately the Doctor jumps in, starts talking to him about other stuff.
Yeah,
Duke's is so confused.
Oh, the 4th Doctor is so weird, but you just kind of like it.
That's kind of the thing. Like he just seems kind of more alien than anyone else. But
and
like,
I don't want them to ever do that again. Like, because I think anybody else would just be trying.
I mean, I think you can be alien in different ways. Like Sylvester McCoy seemed very alien as well. Distinctly alien in himself.
He did
like,
I mysterious though. Tom Baker's just a weird. That's the way you describe it. He's just weird. Yeah. I think even as a person, he's a bit odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not in a bad way. He's just like not.
Well, sometimes in a bad way.
Okay.
Did you see some of those interviews?
Yes, I have read some interviews. Including doing people while in costume before he went to meet fans. The costume would really turn them on. It was like along those lines. But yeah, no, McCoy did the mysteriousness great. Kind of like Chris did. Like, those are the two.
I mean,
I think
I'd also say Peter
closest.
Capaldi does his own kind of brand of weird as well.
Yeah, but I think it's too hip weird. Like, down with the kids.
In some ways.
I think that this last series they got it a lot better. His weirdness.
Yeah.
Rather
Like, I
than-
think the Doctor should always have an element of weirdness. Like, some of them I'd say were perhaps a bit too human. Like, can sometimes he kind of forget he's an alien and such. Yeah, I think that happened quite a bit, especially during like the Day Returned era, which I guess was kind of part of the plot in some ways. It was just he became very human and very like, but like
He did
he's
have
always
moments.
he's always got to have this kind of sense of being an alien because he is an alien. Like,
David did have moments, like
He
in
did.
Utopia, where it was like a conglomeration, and then like she says later on, "Yeah, it was my conglomeration. They all died." It's like conglomeration. That's what I said. And then, like Martha's like, "You're supposed to say sorry." He was like, "Oh yeah, sorry."
yeah,
that
he
was
does.
a good alien moment.
He does.
But it
but-
wasn't as often. Chris was very human. He barely had any alien moments, really. Did he ever? He never really had any weird moments.
Well, he kind of had his slightly.
He was
wacky
just
moments.
cold, which I liked.
But no, he had this kind of wacky moments, like bananas and stuff.
Oh yeah. No, but that was kind of like his intelligence made him weird. Like I quite
Yeah.
like that, and I wish they'd go something maybe with Chris with Jodie. I don't know, kind of a bit more badass. I think that might be maybe the right way because I don't really want her to be wacky. I think a badass female Doctor would be quite good.
We'll see.
I guess we'll see. Enough of conversation for another day. But so he, I don't know, it still kind of confuses me. So he goes and faces the head priest, and he kind of lightning bolts the Doctor down, and the Doctor's like, "Harder, Daddy," and he carries on going. Then like it cuts.
Actually, there's a few issues I have with this. Is that like they do like there's a couple of things which are kind of told to us but not really shown.
Yeah.
So like they talk about like how Demnos is the followers of Demnos are kind of surrounding the castle and such, or like how there's fighting going on like outside the city and
And like lightning bolts coming down. It's
we
like,
we never see any of that. Like, it's just all told to us. It might have been a bit more effective
if we just saw them, even if we just saw like like the monks in Tooth and Claw, how they're just standing outside the house with the mistletoe around. You just see
yeah.
them once, and they're surrounding the place. But because you saw just 3 of them, you're like, yep, they're surrounding the house. They're there.
Yeah.
See it to believe it.
You just have to take our word for it.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and I'd say the climax is very quick.
Yep.
To say,
Yeah.
it is. It kind of feels rushed, and then like they immediately jump to being outside with it like about to leave. Like
Yeah. Well, actually,
the ending to
that
this kind of-
worked for a decent joke, to be honest. But no, it's like I don't get how like where the Doctor switched because he's at the Mandragora Helix. The purple robe guy is at the Masque. But the Doctor's already kind of taken it over. I got very confused at that point.
Hey, yeah. So I just have to cut in here. It's been a few months since we recorded that, and basically, as I watched it again, it suddenly all made a lot more sense. I mean, you kind of have to really pay attention, but what actually happened is there. So basically, the Mandragora Helix fired the Doctor several times, and basically, what he wanted to do was absorb the energy into his casing through with the cables and such, and basically he temporarily, I guess, he got all that powered by kind of absorbing it through the suit, or more that his suit of armor kind of got the powers in it, which is kind of what you saw at the ball scene, and then what he kind of fired out when he was surrounding the rest of the cult of Demnos. So it does make sense. It does make sense. It's just, it's not so clear, but if you do look into it, it's there. So just as we continue this discussion, just bear in mind, I know now what they actually mean. So yeah, on with our discussion.
Because he drained it off, and he knows the secret into the palace, intends to infiltrate his men undercover, and the Doctor wakes his way to the Temple of Grounds with the altar with the wire, and he dresses the Doctor as Time Lord, and this is what happens. But yeah, he fires an energy bolt at the Doctor's chest, knocking him back painfully. The Doctor survives, but more bolts, hit the Doctor, and he continues to egg on Hieronymus. Then, at the Masque, Hieronymus appears and then tells the Brethren to take the others down to the temple. And then it switches to being the Doctor under the mask. Like, where did that switch? Because,
because there's the cut, actually, is kind of... Like, and so immediately, like, when, like, Hieronymus comes back, you assume that the Doctor...
died.
Yeah.
But then it cuts to them doing that.
It was the Doctor who won the fight, and then he kind of dressed as them.
No, but he managed to get the Helix face, though. That's the thing, because she takes off the lion mask, and it's the Helix face. It doesn't make sense. If it had the gold mask on, it would have made sense.
That is...
I think it's a plot hole.
No,
because it shows the Helix energy, which means that...
Yeah, that's
That's what confused me. I'm pretty sure as soon as it takes off the lion's thingamajig, it shows...
Power of illusion.
Yes, he did a trick of the nose. Like with the family of blood. But yeah, so then the Doctor's like, I did it. Ha, ha, ha. That's why I think it's just too easy. Like, all the priests are like, okay, let's touch the altar, guys. And then they kind of die. And it's like, hey, we won. Yeah, woo.
And the Doctor led to brutally murdering a load of people.
I know, it's like, okay. Did you need to do that? But it's because it was in all the priests. It's spread out. But yeah, I love the Doctor who's like, I'd love a piece of salami, and then the next scene is like, thanks for the salami. I love that cut. That's why it's such a quick cut, because it's kind of a joke. It's like, I'd love a salami sandwich, and they took him so literal that they just got him some salami. But yeah, and then they leave. Well, the Doctor says, it'll be back at the end of the 20th century.
Which, I don't know if they ever, like, kind of did anything with that, like, in terms of, like, the extended media, I mean.
He had appeared a few times. But yeah, that's kind of it then. So, I don't know, overall it's a pretty decent story, but I'm worried. I'm pretty sure that plot hole at the end happens. It faces the first Doctor in a comic, I think. Appears in comic The Masque of Mandragora. Yeah.
Is that at the end of the 19th century then? Or?
I am not sure. I read it somewhere. Yeah, during the first incarnation, the Doctor had encountered the Mandragora Helix in China, 1865, in the company of Ian Chesterton, Barbara Wright, and Vicky Pallister. Oh, wow, we knew it last name? Never knew that. But never learned what the plasma-based Helix called itself. On occasion, the Helix referred to the fact that the Doctor defeated it 400 years earlier. So there you go.
And then returns in the 1990s. And apparently very quickly returns in 2009, apparently.
See, it would be an interesting one to bring back on TV. I mean, it wouldn't need much explaining.
Yeah.
And they haven't really done a cult-based episode, have they?
Not
The closest was Fires of Pompeii.
They did one that's... Wait, no. That was...
I mean,
it's been a while. It's been a while. Like
it's been long enough.
Yeah, I think the last one that they did in general was probably Canaan and Company.
Well, no, because I mean, the Fires of Pompeii. That was a cult group.
I guess so.
They were like hailing the stone gods,
that's
and they
true.
were
That's true.
Sniffing in that solid rock. But since then, it hasn't really been. I mean, the Headless Monks were kind of, but it wasn't based around them.
You don't need them too much, but
I mean, it's nice to have a dark one. It would be a good one for Jodie to face off against, I think. We just need some badass villains for the next series. Come on, Chibnall, let's bring back the good villains, because we've had not as many.
Yeah, and we need to bring the fans back.
Yeah, so 3 good points.
I guess I'd say the acting quality as a whole is really, really strong. Like, excellent.
Top notch.
Yeah, like, very much kind of fits in with the whole kind of Shakespearean vibe the entire thing has. Like, all the actors are kind of perfectly cast and do their jobs, like, pretty exceptionally, I'd say. I would say, also, I guess, sets as well, like, there isn't too many, but it's quite nice location filming, and the catacombs they kind of make look bigger than they are quite effectively, and like, a lot of the lighting in those such are really good. And I'd say like a lot of the action scenes, like when you get some action scenes, they're really quite generally intense and quite a lot of fun to watch, and they were well done. Like especially the horse one. The horse is very good. Though the sword fighting is also pretty good as well. Yeah.
My top 3 is definitely the location work and sets in general. They're really, really nice. Quality of dialogue is I'd say pretty good. I think actually it comes out bad, but yeah, quality of dialogue was very good. It was interesting enough, and I'd say a different sort of threat hadn't been done as often, at least. Probably
not as often. It's kind of similar to the Daemons, and maybe a little bit similar to Morbius.
I think some plot.
In some way, in some plot.
But the villain itself is like this energy, which is kind of originality as well. And taking I take that one back. The era that they went to, they didn't go to a big event. It was nice that they just went to a historical era, just a period, historical era thing, which is nice. Kind of like with the Empress of Mars. They had the Victorian soldiers, but it wasn't like based just on that. It was just Victorian soldiers. They were very nice. I like it when they do that. It makes it more interesting. So yeah, 3 bad points.
I'd say sometimes, especially episodes 2 and 3, it gets a bit slow and a bit.
It's a bit stodgy.
It gets a bit. Like, a lot of dialogue is still good, so you're still kind of interested. And, I have to say, again, as somebody who kind of likes historical dramas like that, I was still engaged, I was still, like, just enjoying the quality of the acting and the dialogue as a whole. But I'd imagine, especially with people who don't quite care as much about, like, stuff like that, or don't like their Shakespeare and such, that it would be quite off-putting, and, even as someone who enjoys it, found that perhaps, you could have put some a bit like set up a little bit here, and maybe you didn't need to show them walking down the hill and such.
Put some cha-cha-chas in, some jazz hands. Make it more exciting. Come on, guys. Opening night.
I would say that a bit too much is told to us and not shown. Like especially in episode 4, I think there's quite a bit which is just like, oh, this happened and this happened and this happened, but like we'd like to have seen that. That would have been nice to have seen. And
hope you enjoyed those good 10 seconds of umming and erring.
The ending probably is a bit rushed, to be honest. Like they kind of finish off the villain very quickly, and well, the joke for the awkward cut is kind of funny. Yeah, it is. It works. It's a little bit glaring, I'd have to say, like watching it.
But you got to wrap it up. Because you've got to keep those 24...
Yeah, but
for 24 minutes and 45 seconds. Got to keep it to that. But anyway, so my 3 bad is, they kind of blew their load, if you pardon the pun. Early...
with the salami.
Yeah, with the salami. Early on in episode 1. Like, that was a great opener, but then you kind of get 2 weeks of kind of stodgy. There's still some good moments.
Yeah.
Especially like the escape at the start of episode 2, but it's kind of very dialogue heavy. It's like it would have been better if maybe they'd spread it out a tiny bit. But it was fine. I would say the biggest bad is the confusion. If I need to go back and check, if it is, then it's a super bad point that when they take off a line mask that you see the Helix face. Because if it is, that's a really bad.
You do see the Helix face. I only watched it. Well, I watched it 2 nights ago, but
yeah,
it was.
Is this a small moment? I might go back and just look at it after we finish recording this, just check. If it's not, though, I take that back. But if it is, it's really bad.
Sure it is.
And I'd say they kind of, again with Conrad, they kind of talk about a lot, but they don't show it, and it's kind of sometimes you need to see it to believe it. Okay, so the nerdy. So Robert James, who plays Lesterton in Power of the Daleks, also appears in this one as the High Priest. And I mean, he's amazing as Lesterton, and Power of the Daleks is definitely worth a watch.
Yes.
Definitely. So Martin Wiggins, a senior lecturer and fellow at the Shakespeare Institute at Stratford-upon-Avon, we weren't there, has compared this story's plot to Hamlet. It has an inexperienced intellectual prince, an aspiring duke, and a debate about the conflict between the science and religion that recalls Hamlet's musings on the nature of a supernatural world.
Yeah, no, I very much see
Smart
that.
stuff.
As someone who's seen Hamlet
Yeah,
several
yeah.
times and studied it a bit, and yes, no, there is very much parallels with it. Like in terms of just the general like setup of having the duke that murders the father and the son who's out for revenge and the best friend that's with him throughout. It is very similar in a lot of ways, as I said, except for a few specific points to it. But it basically could just be the Doctor and Hamlet.
Yeah.
It wouldn't really change a lot.
So, working titles for the story were The Catacombs of Death, which I quite like that, actually, or The Curse of Mandragora. I quite like that as well.
Like that.
The ultimate name reference is the masked entertainment performed by masked players that later plays a key role in the plot. So, yeah, I guess fair. The location was done at the resort of Port Merion in Wales, better known for the setting of the cult series The Prisoner, which I really need to watch The Prisoner. I mean, I know what the twist is, but I still need to watch it.
Hang on. Apparently, the reason they did change it was because, they changed the TARDIS. It's because it had deteriorated from wear and tear, which is why they changed the TARDIS. This is the exterior. They changed it.
Yeah, the exterior changed to wear and tear, and they actually changed it in the title sequence as well to match.
I didn't notice that. Actually.
Another name actually was called The Secret of a Labyrinth, which they used for one of the special features on the disc, which is quite cool. So yeah,
the two different accounts to the reason why they changed the secondary control.
One of the cool things is Elizabeth Sladen stayed contracted on Doctor Who for additional 7 months just because she heard of this upcoming story and she really wanted to be in it. If there hadn't have been this story, she would have left in the Seeds of Doom. That's pretty crazy. Like, this story is what made her stay on. And to be fair, it's a pretty solid story, so I don't blame her.
Yeah. No, it would have made sense for her to go to Seeds of Doom as well, because they're already back on Earth and everything. So.
Yeah, but I like the end of Hand of Fear anyway. It's got a good scene. And that means this story wouldn't have happened anyway, because they would have had to introduce a new companion and all of that. Which would have been a load of effort, because I don't really think you could fit it around this story.
Unless you had a companion from that time period.
Which would be interesting, but I mean, Leela's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Tom Baker fluffs a line at one point during part 4 in which he calls Elizabeth Sladen Liz instead of Sarah. It isn't nonsense, Liz. Baker delivers the line correctly, which is actually, it isn't nonsense, miss.
Makes sense.
But yeah, it was a myth. But it's actually correct.
I can see why that'd be
Miss,
confused.
but
I see why that could be confused.
Liz, miss. It's kind of the same, yeah. But I mean, continuity, the Mandragora helix has appeared a few more times.
And by the time of City of Death, Doctor has met
Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
So it's obviously between here and then, which is a bit of time actually. Sarah talks about how she can understand the Italian, and the Doctor says it's a Time Lord gift, which he allows her to share. And then in End of a World, the Ninth kind of explains it, which is nice. Yeah. So those are the holes I like filled, and then they go back and they start talking about the Doctor's childhood, and it was like during Empty Child I quite realised But that's another thing for another day.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of it really. It's the opening scenes of part 1 were adapted as a 1-page comic strip in the Doctor Who magazine 161, published in June 1990 as part of a large article on the production of this story. Pretty cool. Well, that's about it. So, Conrad, conclusion.
So, this story, in a lot of ways, is really good. As someone who, again, enjoys historical dramas of this kind of style, and likes my Shakespeare as well, this was an interesting watch. I was engaged throughout all of the episodes, even if some bits were a bit slow, and I can imagine other people maybe not enjoy it as much as I did. But I enjoyed it quite a bit in that regard. A lot of the episodes, especially like 1, to some extent 2 and 4, keep up like a pretty good like action based, good pieces of action, and some of those episodes generally pace pretty well. Though something like episode 3 and 2 especially can drag on a bit with how how much talking it is. I mean, it kind of fits the style that they were going for, but at the same time, you would have rather have seen perhaps a bit more action here, or like maybe move it on there, and and leading up to a climax, which is not the best climax in the world, but the scenes before that especially, and the tension that the build-up's really good to it, but it was a slightly disappointing ending. But as a whole, I really do enjoy this episode. There's a few flaws here, but as a whole, I mean, mostly positive. I would rate the story as a whole a 7 out of 10. Just it's got some really good high points, but at the same time, it's got a few quite glaring issues to it where it kind of drags it back down a bit. But as a whole, I really do enjoy the story quite a bit. Not sure everybody else would. I think the story generally does have a mixed reputation, and I can totally understand that. But I'd happily rewatch this again at some point. Though I don't rewatch things very often.
No.
Or very maybe in the next 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Probably would be 10 years, admittedly. Yeah.
So holy crap! I didn't realise actually how decent this story was. This one I think often gets overlooked because it's between Seeds of Doom and Sarah Jane's final story, The Hand of Fear. But this story was pretty damn great. A great pace to it at the start. Lots of good action, good supporting actors, beautiful locations and sets. Good accents as well, I guess.
I guess. They're all British accents.
Yes.
They're not Italian
the
accents.
The best accent is the British accent. And one of the best TARDIS teams in history, Tom Baker is ace as the Doctor as always. Elizabeth Sladen, while doesn't do too much in the story, is just so enjoyable that I can forgive that. The rest of the cast are, brilliant and really put their heart and souls into their parts. The overall plot is interesting and different. Having the parts set in different time zones as well is pretty cool. Having the cult is a lot like the demons, but I think it was done different enough so it wasn't a full copy and paste. Cliffhangers were solid and made you want to watch the next episode. You're kind of, how are they going to get out of this? What's going to happen next kind of thing. The Doctor, however, does defeat the Mandragora Helix a little easily for the great power they built it up to be, and there was a bit confusing between the shots. But I give the Masque of Mandragora a 7 out of 10, as it's a really great story, but there's just something missing which holds it back from being an all-time classic. There's just something to it. I don't know really what I'd fix to change it. But maybe it's because
better climax.
Yeah, I think better climax. I know the monster isn't too memorable. It's more the mask that you remember rather than the helix, and it's kind of. I think that there needs a bit more to it to just make it all-time classic. But I know, but don't overlook this one. It's a good story.
Worth a watch.
It's in the it's the halfway between the okay and perfect. It's really good. So there we go. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast review of The Masque of Mandragora. We hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what you thought below of this story. Because it's always good to hear other people's views. Did you like it? Did you like the Hamlet thing, or is just that not your cup of tea?
Yeah. I totally understand, but I think.
Tell us about what you
do appreciate.
What would you rate it if you don't like Shakespeare stuff? Does it just not like it at all then? Does it become like a 2 or a 3?
I mean, it's probably easier to understand just because they modernised the language. They didn't. They weren't.
They didn't try and talk all
Shakespearean. But the way they say things are kind of similar. I think just coming off the back that probably a lot of these actors did have done a lot of Shakespeare and such.
Yeah. So so you can subscribe
or not. Don't be like those people that follow demness. You gotta break away. You gotta
be the Giuliano of your time.
Yes.
Question stuff.
Fight for what you think is
question
right.
the subscribe button. Do you actually want to listen to us ramble on for an hour plus about Doctor Who stories? The answer should be yes, but
Up to you. Really.
praise them not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've watched this far in the video anyway.
Yeah,
then-
you're pretty cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
It does.
Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye!
Boy.